Okay, you've had a chance to see it. Now we're going to do Final Destination Bloodlines. All the spoilers, let's go! What is up, guys? Welcome to a brand new all the spoilers for Final Destination Bloodlines. And this one's going to be a fun one because there's a lot I couldn't really talk about in the actual spoiler-free review because this movie is about the kills. The kills are fantastic in this movie. At least a couple of them really stand out. And they might be, if I had to do like a top 10 kills of the Final Destination franchise, they might be in there. I'm not sure, just because of the sheer impact and how different both of these kills are, which is kind of a lesson in that you don't have to follow the same, I guess, template for each kill. You could have a short kill, you could have a quick, abrupt surprise kill, you could have a kill that just kind of lingers, and there might not even be a kill at the end of it. You know, it could be just a great setup, and this movie has all of that stuff, and I think that's one of the reasons why I think this is one of the better Final Destination movies. And I will be doing a ranking. I'm going to record that right after this. And right now, I still don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what number one is. It's that tough because this is a great franchise. And I think it's one of the most consistent and one of the strongest franchises out there. And even the movie that's the turd of the franchise for various reasons is still fun. Also, I gotta show this off. The freaking Sleep Token brand new album that came out even in Arcadia. I've been obsessed with this album. I got the vinyl, and I got the vinyl for their last album, Take Me Back to Eden, when that first came out. And I pre-ordered this like probably a month ago, and man, I've been listening to it constantly on my freaking my Spotify, and I actually was just listening to this before I did this. But man, this is a great freaking album. It's been a long time since we had a great album, okay? Like from start to finish, every song counts. So good. And you might not like Sleep Token, but you will. You'll come around to them. If you really take a deep dive into their albums, you'll see what I'm talking about, okay? Also, real quick, thank you guys so much. Delila versus the Gastro. This is the Barnes & Noble edition that we just got in. But buy the paperback off of Amazon. That's the one that's got the deal right now for $7.99. Not going to last too much longer, guys. So make sure if you want this book, you jump on there immediately. And also, if I could ask, because I've been getting so much great feedback from you guys and some really heartwarming stories from you guys as well regarding you might have dealt with a family member with seizures, or you might have had seizures yourself. And I've just heard some really beautiful stories, and how a lot of you are happy that a book like this even exists with a hero that has a seizure disorder, a disability. And Delila, in this story, she actually enters another dimension through her disability, her seizures. So I can't wait for you guys to read this if you haven't finished reading it yet. If you do me a favor, on Amazon, write us a quick little review in there, because that really helps with the Amazon algorithm and, of course, marketing. That's why we're really pushing this hard. But it's also a passion project. Like my wife, countless and countless of sleepless nights writing this book over the last year, and just putting every ounce of energy into it because of the love of our granddaughter and the love of the story that she was developing. So I can't wait for you guys to read it. Some of you might have already finished it. I don't know, but let me know what you guys think. I'm so happy that you guys are able to get your hands on this. Now, diving into the spoiler review, it opens with our main character of the intro, I guess, Iris. She's the one that gets the premonition. This whole story centers around her future self. But man, that opening, it kind of starts with that penny. That little brat kid was, wanting to throw the penny, and that starts the chain reaction. But I do like how this opening sequence, it definitely was patient. It took its time. So by the time, it does unleash hell, it's worth it. I think there's definite payoff, and they do not hold back in terms of the violence. Bodies freaking falling out of that sky structure. I mean, you pretty much had every death imaginable in that opening sequence. Fires, impalements, just insane stuff. And it was a really great way to start the movie. But one thing that was cool is, as you're watching it, if you didn't really know about the whole story here, Where's this going to go? Are they going to actually continue with the survivors of this in this current time? It says 50 years ago, which would technically be the 70s, even though everybody's dressed like they're in the 60s. I don't know. They could have went that route and made this like a deep prequel, but instead, it's kind of cool how they did a wraparound. It started before even, the first movie, or I guess part 5, and then goes all the way around to the present day, which is really cool. And then you get I guess you could call it the Halloween 2018 version of the movie. I mean, I couldn't help but think of that when Stefani is driving up, to meet her grandmother, Iris, that her father had warned her about, do not go near her. She's much like what Clear was in the first movie, or technically the second movie, when she was just so cautious about everything, which it does make you question, like, why would you live your life like that? If I'm going to die, let it go ahead and happen. But to live your whole life in fear and, just watching every step that you take, not stepping on a crack, break your mother's back. I guess there's a lesson in this movie, a deep lesson, that maybe we should cherish every minute that we get, which, that's what Tony Todd was saying, Bloodworth, later in the movie, which was such a sad moment because, he knew he was going to pass away. And he was basically telling the audience, cherish every moment that you have because you don't know when tomorrow's coming. So you could look at it, the overall message of Final Destination as cherish every day because death is coming. You just don't know when. Now, there are some fun characters in this movie too, which ties into how great the kills are. I'll start with, I guess, Bobby and Eric, because we know the story here is that the descendants of Iris, they are the ones at stake here. It's almost like death was at rest and then it is awakened at a certain moment when Iris walks out of that house. Which, if I had to pick it apart, and maybe there's an answer for this, but why would she have a death trap literally right outside her front door? Like, how's that going to keep death from coming in? I don't know. That was a strange element of this movie. I would probably just have nothing out in the front yard, so that way I could just walk out into just an open skyline. I don't know. But she's got freaking all these hooks and spikes, and it looked like Rambo's front yard when he was getting revenge on the Mexican underworld in Rambo 5. Yeah, so that's what she was doing. I don't know why. But one unique angle I loved about this movie was you think everybody is at risk, but only the people in the actual bloodline are, which we find out because Eric, I loved how the trailer made the audience think that Eric was going to die because of his piercings in that one scene. Basically, his nose ring gets hooked on a chain, and it just becomes a horrible situation where he's trying to get the thing off before it gets ratcheted up by the ceiling fan. But the writers, they kept teasing you with Eric, and then you find out that he's not actually in the bloodline, which was a very funny revelation. Him finding out that his mother had an affair. So he's tempting death throughout the rest of the movie, which is funny. And then let's just go ahead and talk about the MRI kill. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. I think the MRI kill might be one of the best kills in the entire franchise because of a couple reasons. It's a double kill, which is really cool, but also it involves a character that wasn't supposed to be dead. But when you mess with death, things can get messy, as Bloodworth said. But it's another really patient kill. You're waiting for it to happen, and then eventually he's got Bobby in the wheelchair, but his piercings basically are magnetized by the MRI. And so his whole body comes forward, and I think even his junk was pierced, if I remember correctly. But his body, it goes up against the MRI, and then here comes the wheelchair that Bobby is sitting on. It thrusts into his back and folds him, Freddy vs. Jason style, into the MRI really slowly. And I just remember watching that scene unfold, and the audience, the collective gasp / laughter, disgust. I mean, the reactions were through the roof on this one. And this is definitely the movie you want to see in a packed theater because everybody was just laughing and roaring and having such a good time with it. But then it's not over. That's what's great about it. It's not over. Then you got Bobby getting pulled into the MRI and then circling back to the vending machine that he was at earlier, and the spiral coming through and spiraling into his forehead. Just genius. So creative. And that's one of the great things about this franchise. Like, even the worst kill is pretty damn creative in these movies. Now, my second favorite kill has to be the garbage truck kill. With Julie, she's actually out for her jog, and you see Bobby and Eric having a conversation there. So what's cool about it is how the scene is framed, and you see her kind of running away from the frame while they are in focus. And so her body gets thrown into the garbage can, thrown into the garbage truck. Then you got Stefani coming up and looking down at her, and we get to watch her slowly get crushed. And watching her face as she's like talking to Stefani just get like crushed into itself. Glorious, absolutely. I wanted to do a standing ovation for this scene. Yes, thank you so much, Final Destination. You really just gave it all in this movie. And one of the important characters in this movie also was Darlene, who was the mother, who was sort of out of the picture. She left when Stefani was only 10 years old because she had this fear of death, and she was wanting to protect Stefani. And so she pretty much had to like abandon her kid, which is horrible situation. But sometimes you got to do the thing that you don't want to do to save the ones you love. And that's what she's trying to do in the movie. And ultimately giving her life at the end of the movie in a very violent way, because the light pole just literally falls on top of her when she's talking to her kids, her son. I liked how bloody these kills were. And I didn't even mention like the kill with Iris when she's standing out and she's wanting to prove to Stefani, hey, this is what you're up against. Because at this point, Stefani doesn't believe it. And then she gets impaled in the back of the head through her forehead. And I know I'm all over the place in this review. That's just the way I am with my All the Spoilers reviews, because it's kind of a stream of consciousness type thing. But boy, is it fun, breaking this movie apart. No pun intended. Lastly, and I'm sure I missed probably a couple of kills, but I definitely have to talk about the callback to Final Destination 2, because everybody talks about that freaking infamous log truck scene. It'll go down in history as one of the greatest kills in horror history, I think. Every time you see a log truck, you go on your social media and you have to talk about, hey, I just saw a log truck in front of me. I'm thinking of Final Destination Part 2. So what a great way to wrap up this movie by having our main character, because they're going to die, having them run towards the camera, and then these logs just thrust out and just destroy both of them, annihilate both of them. Just glorious. This movie was so damn fun. I want to go see it again for sure. It might be, I don't want to jump the gun, but it's definitely top 3 of the year. It was so, just for how fun it was. And it's really great to have Final Destination back. I'm sure this movie's going to break up this weekend. And I'm hoping and praying that we get a sequel greenlit, because this is a franchise that you could keep going. You could never stop, because there's always a new batch of characters. And it's just fun to watch death, pick off characters one by one. Sticking with a high purchase worthy for this one, let me know what you guys thought of this movie in the comments. I'm sure most of you have seen it right now that care. And boy, do I love this franchise. Make sure you go back and check out all my previous Final Destination reviews. I did do brand new reviews for 4 and 5 this last week before this one. I put a lot into those reviews, so make sure you check those out. And just thank you guys for all the support that you give the channel. I really appreciate it. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do FIFA Fridays. Follow my Drumdums on my socials. Support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Buy me a coffee. And we guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.